think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. You know, this is the Motor City, and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. We love to celebrate our rich automotive heritage here in Detroit and Grosse Pointe, but we will make no apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective. And today we're going to be offering you Detroit perspective when it comes to the auto industry. You know, Detroit's been given a black eye, but a lot of people, they don't think we're hip enough, we're cool enough, we're the right place to be. That Detroit's heritage is all about crime or ruin porn or dilapidated housing or exodus of all the businesses. But you know what? Detroit's enjoying a rebirth, and it really was the place to be. There's a reason why the auto industry came here. There's a real reason why we're the Motor City. And we're going to look at a really cool video, and we're going to go back in time. For you Detroiters, you're going to remember a lot of this stuff. And I'm going to bring this into focus to tell you why we are the Motor City and why we should be proud. And to tell us that, we've got here Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com. Chris, thanks for getting away from the computer and coming out to Grosse Pointe Farms.
Well, you know, downloading porn gets really tiring.
Well, your eyes are getting a little blurry, so this is going to be so much better for you. His blog online is really the place to go. For, I mean, Chris, there's certain people in this business that shouldn't be blogging. There's certain people in this business.
Am I one of
No,
those?
you should be spending more time.
Had me worried
online,
there.
at least on your blog site. Anyway, so this is a really cool topic. I can't wait to look at this video and have people go back.
Yeah, I was watching it the other day. It was
go back
cool.
in time with us, Chris, and see why we do have a great heritage.
You know, I was 5 years. It was like I was 5 years old again, and Mom still wasn't answering me.
Well, my brothers give me a noogie. Yeah, I was a middle child. So
I
anyway,
was the youngest. One of my two favorite colors are black and blue.
Okay, so speaking of black and blue, before we get into the topic of the day, we have to find out what's happening
In the news.
Yeah, you're so right. That's exactly right. So let me take this. Speaking of disrespect in Detroit, have you heard what's happened with the Manchester
United? Yeah.
United, that's that English.
Did we expect anything else?
Folks, in the English Premier Soccer League, Manchester United is sponsored by General Motors.
Yep.
And part of their contract requires that they give the players free cars. Who would not want a free car, Chris?
Those guys?
Well, apparently not, because they were offered Corvettes and Camaros to drive around, and they said, here we go. They put all those cars over there, and guess what? Nobody is driving them. Nobody on the soccer team wants to be seen in any of that American iron. Instead, they're the Daily Mail, which is, you know, your Bible over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they say they're still driving their Range Rovers and their Mercedes-Benzes and their Porsches, but they've parked they haven't got in the Corvettes or the Camaros. And, you know, does it mean that these soccer players are brand snobs, or does it mean that soccer players are not car enthusiasts, or does it mean that nobody wants to be seen in Detroit Iron? What's going on, Chris?
Footballers, as they're known over there.
Yeah, that's not, trust me, that's not football.
Yeah,
You do this for like an hour. Is anybody going to score a goal?
Yeah,
football is what the Lions play.
If you haven't gotten that concussion, you're not playing football. They're image-driven, yes, and you know they're snobs, of course. But I mean, come on, Victoria Beckham, you know, was said that she helped design the Range Rover Evoque. Not that I would ever drive one after that, but granted, you know, she's a good-looking woman, and she was one of the Spice Girls and all that big whoop. You know.
That's it. From now on, I'm not playing my Spice Girls album anymore.
Thank freaking God for
All
that,
right.
because it was getting really, really,
Take
really
me
old.
to another part of the world.
I will. How about China?
Oh, okay, China.
How about even better, Mexico?
Now you've got me.
There's a reason for this.
Okay.
NAFTA is bigger than China.
Wait, NAFTA is that giant sucking sound we heard? What was NAFTA? All of our
The
jobs
North
went
America
to-
Free Trade Agreement.
Okay, so it went to Canada and Mexico. Okay, now I know what
Yeah.
NAFTA is. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Tim Hortons and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So combined, NAFTA is on track for car sales easy for me to say, to surpass 20 million units this year.
20 million?
That's as big as the entire Chinese vehicle market.
So NAFTA's as big as all of China?
Now, that does not include the medium and heavy-duty trucks,
Okay.
buses, micro-utility vehicles,
Yeah.
and all those others that the Japanese count in their numbers. So it's actually bigger.
So China is counting all these little crazy vehicles, and we're not, and we're still their size.
Uh-huh.
So why don't they pay more attention to us instead of everything? Oh, we got to sell everything.
Oh, it's all about you, isn't it?
Oh, I meant the United States.
Oh.
Or NAFTA.
Well, one of the reasons that it's as big as it is, and one of the reasons that Mexico is
Yeah,
getting
Mexico's
all of the
growing.
business
It really is.
because Mexico, unlike the United States, if you build a car in Mexico, you do not have to pay a tariff if you send that car overseas.
Wow.
If it's built in the United States, you have to pay a tariff.
So that's why.
Bet you didn't know that.
No. Wait, we're going to be taxed in the United States? Does that happen? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. But here's something even crazier. This is really crazy. Folks, this is just unheard of. Can you believe, this is something you'd see.
I'll tell you if it's unheard of.
Okay, this is totally you wish you'd see happen all the time. All right. Guess what? Honda announced recently that its president and CEO, Takanobu Iyoto,
What?
yeah, something like that. He said, and a dozen other of his executives that I neither can pronounce nor even know the names, are being hit with a pay cut. They're cutting their pay because why? Because the Honda Fit Hybrid was recalled 5 times, and as punishment, they got a pay cut. What company punishes their CEO when he screws up?
Everybody but Takata.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, the airbags blew up? Oh, sorry.
So Mr. Ito will be forced to take a 20% pay cut, and the others are getting a 10% pay cut because, and their salary's going to be docked.
I'd force them to work on the line for a while and make sure what the hell is going on.
Imagine that, executives being held accountable for screwing up.
Gee, you know, if you'd done things like that, that maybe GM might not have gone bankrupt.
You think?
But then I don't think that half of those executives would have known where the cars were built in the first place.
That's probably true. Oh, Chris, there's got to be something better out there you can tell me about.
Well, I don't know about better,
Okay.
but it fits with what we've talked about in the past.
All right. All right.
Remember last year when Ford cut the price of the Focus EV?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Dropped to $4,000?
Yeah.
Well, didn't do a thing for sales.
How could it not?
Well,
You dropped it $4,000 and you didn't buy them, folks?
Yeah, only about 1,500 were sold last year, or
Wow.
sold so far this year, I should
Wow.
say. Ford's dropped the price another $6,000.
Then its sales are going to go through the roof.
Nope, sorry. That brings the MSRP up to under $30,000. But,
For an electric Focus.
Yep, yep. Analysts say it's because it's hard to tell an electric Focus from the regular one.
Okay, here's a
They don't
picture.
sell as
We'll
well
show-
than the uniquely styled Prius, because EV buyers prefer cars that show everyone that they're doing their part for the planet.
No,
I'm
Chris.
greener, I'm holier than thou.
So they don't buy the electric Focus because it looks like a Focus, and they want it to look so special because I'm special.
But you are special, and your mother was right.
Not-
Despite
I
the
mean,
short
personally,
buttons.
I mean, you EV buyers, is that why you bought the Prius? Because you know it looks kind of different, and you're saying, oh, look. Except I got to tell you something. Every time I get passed on the freeway doing 90,
It's by a Prius.
it's by a Prius.
Yeah.
So if you're saving the planet, slow down. Buy something else. Why are you passing me in your Prius? I'm already doing 90 in my truck.
Now, meanwhile,
What's wrong with those people?
they don't like you. Nissan is denying reports that it plans to shut down its EV battery plants in the U.S. and U.K. due to dismal sales of its electric Leaf. Now, if you were to listen to Nissan and Renault talk about their electric vehicle sales, they'll tell you that they're a world leader in all of this. They've sold 120,000 of them up to this point. And that it makes financial sense to consolidate to one plant.
Well,
But we're not going to do that.
Why? Why wouldn't you do that? It makes financial sense. They're not selling it
No,
up.
we're saying we're not going to do it. We didn't say we're not going to do it. We just said
Oh.
we're not going to do it. Did you not get the memo?
No. Where is it here? So why would they not want to close the U.S. plant? What, is it a
Because they owe the Obama administration $1.6 billion for that plant.
we funded another green technology?
Damn right we did.
Would that look kind
This
of
is
bad?
why you don't pick winners.
Yeah, that's what. So the
Or in
government.
this case, pick losers.
Yes, you see what you happened. Your tax dollars went to fund this plant. Now they're going to have to shut it down because they're not selling. Didn't you say this on a show?
Yes. I'm smarter than the
Why
average
don't
bear.
you all just watch Cars in Context? We'd save you from wasting the billions of dollars of tax dollars.
If I was in charge of this world, it'd be a much different place.
Well,
Most of you would be dead, but it's okay.
let's talk about other money that's not spent by the government. Let's talk about
Wait a minute.
yeah. Let's talk about money that's spent by the car makers on R&D. You know what R&D is, don't you? No. I never give Chris an acronym because you never know what he's going to say. R&D is research and development.
Oh.
Now, here's what people don't realize. You know, when you say, you know, well, the car companies, all they do is they build, they have this factory to build cars, and they pay a couple of white-collar workers. You wouldn't believe what they spend on figuring out what their product should be. It's unbelievable. In fact, they just did a recent little survey on what the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, are, and in their annual reports, are spending to research what the next big thing is. Check this out. Volkswagen is on top. They spend $14 billion with a B on R&D.
Thank you, Dr. Evil.
That's $5 billion more than Toyota, which is in second. They spent $9 billion. $9 billion. That would almost pay.
That's with a B.
That would pay for
Just wanna
fixing
make
our
sure.
roads or something. Yeah.
Well,
And next up is Renault Nissan, which spent $7.5 billion on there, barely topping Daimler, who's in fourth, and then GM, bankrupt GM, and is now out of bankruptcy, but they're, I mean, we helped them, $7.2 billion on R&D. And that topped Ford by about $800 million. And then Honda was behind Ford with about $6.3 billion.
yes, because they were spending all that money on fixing those fits that they had to recall.
Right. And then BMW behind them with about $6 million. Think of this, folks. Every automaker is spending multiple billions of dollars on just research, which is why when you talk about, you know, should I buy domestic? When you buy a domestic product, the research that they're doing is generally in the country of origin. Most of that research for their cars are done at their country of origin. So when you buy a domestic, the research is not done here, so they're hiring kids from Ohio State, U of M, Purdue, local universities rather than University of Tokyo and Seoul.
But I do understand that the president said that if it's not done in the country of origin, he
Yeah.
is going to legalize them anyway.
Please help us. Please. We can't stop that. So that's just craziness, and that's why we bring these cars, this stuff into context. This car news is just not being, people aren't saying this stuff, Chris. Why are we the only ones?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll give you an answer that you can answer, because now it's car trivia time.
Okay.
Now, this is an answer you guys can come up with. All you need to do is think a little bit, think back to your car history lessons. What do you mean? You didn't take car history? What's wrong with these people?
Didn't have the nuns I had.
Yeah, this one is really easy. I was getting a lot of complaints that they said, John, your car trivia is way too hard. The average viewer won't be able to get this. So anybody out there in Carland, if you know anything about cars in Detroit, you should be able to get this answer, for crying out loud. Okay, I'm going to give it easy. Okay, ready for
Why are
this
you
one?
looking at me all the time?
Because you always say,
I have no
Here's
answers.
what Chris always says, well, I know that one. Of course you do. But here's this one. I know you know this. Now think about this. We're going to give you this question. Think about it, and we'll come back and give them the answer. Ready?
Yeah.
When, just give me a year, did Henry Ford employ the industry's first moving assembly line to build his Model T? So when was the first year the assembly line went into production to build the Model T? That now every Detroiter knows that. I'm sure you do. So I know you do, so don't even say anything. So right when we come back after the break, we're going to give the answer. Then we'll put Chris in the driver's seat and talk about this wonderful imagery we have for Detroit's heritage right after this. Hi, and welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today, we're talking about Detroit's rich automotive heritage. Have you ever wondered why we've been called the Motor City and then how we're not getting credit for the heritage that we have? And usually when you hear about Detroit, it's bad stuff. Well, we're going to sort it out with nobody other than Chris Sawyer of the virtualdriver.com. Thank God you're here. Without
Yes,
you,
because you need the help.
I need help. Without you, I mean, I would just be all over the map on this, because we're fervent Detroiters and we want the right story to be told. That's where we're putting it in context. But before we do that, Chris, we have to give them the answer to today's trivia question.
Okay, if we must.
Okay, this week's trivia question, folks, was meant for those folks who have been writing in and saying, hey, John, your questions are way too hard.
If you didn't get this one,
Now, come on.
I mean, you don't have to have the
Now,
the
Detroit, we
exact
all
date.
know we're the hometown of the Ford Motor Company, and the assembly line started here. It was a big deal when Model T. We put the world on wheels with the Model T. The question was, are you ready? When did Henry Ford employ the industry's first moving assembly line to build the Model T? And the answer is, He did it on December the 1st, 1913. That was the first day that Henry Ford began building Model Ts on the industry's first moving assembly line. And guess what it did? It reduced the time of building one car from just a little over 12 hours, you ready for this? 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Which is
It's
an hour and 30 minutes more than it takes now.
That's amazing.
And cars are much more
It went from
complex.
you wonder why the cost of the car went down to like $500. That he was able to take all that time out of the building of the car and put the world on wheels. Really cool. I know you got that one. If you didn't, buy a book.
Read every so
You
often.
just buy a book and read. It's not going to be on your Twitter account. Anyway, so today,
No,
Chris,
would it be?
today we're going to do something really different at Cars in Context. I'm so glad you've tuned in. Today, we found online a really cool Detroit heritage video. And what we wanted to do with this is, we do in the industry, Chris and I always hear from our fellow journalists all across the country and the world who have nothing but bad things to say about Detroit. We don't have any real heritage. They think of us a dirty, greasy, nasty little town that turned into ruin and crime. That's all they think of us. And then it's always been an issue for years and years. And, but we grew up in this town, and we know the wonderful things that made Detroit special for us. So what we want to do, folks, is we want to play this video for you, and we want you to take a little trip down memory lane and go back with us, and we'll see the kinds of things that this video captures. And I want you to try to check out all the little inferences to the automotive industry that are part of our heritage. Okay, so let's take a look. And Chris, jump in when you see all these little things, as I know you were going to spot them. Let's take a look.
DIA.
The DIA, which we almost lost in the bankruptcy of all their artwork.
That's right. Rodin's the thinker.
Remember Stroh's beer?
Yeah, it was good beer.
Now Crane Communications is in that building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And John Kennedy.
Kennedy was in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soupy.
Soupy Sales. Marola Chevrolet on the east side here, up on Topher and Gratiot. Still Marola's not owned by the Marola's family.
Sonny Elliott.
My idol. I wanted to be a weatherman when I was growing up in town.
WKNR, Keener 13.
You remember Keener? The Beatles.
Oh, God, yeah.
Beatles in town? Where they were at Olympia Stadium. Hudson's Christmas Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Still going on today, not known as Hudson's. Wow, look at the Detroit Riverfront back then. It's just as the Renson got built.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, Penobscot building was the #1 building down there. Do you remember St. Raymond High School on the east side? St. Raymond, for you East Siders here, one of the bigger schools around here. Wow, see all of it. We have great churches. This is a great place of worship here. Old Tiger Stadium, Chris. I'm sure you could take $1 bus ride down to downtown Detroit to go to the Tiger game. Those little yards down at Mount Elliott,
Oh,
the Mount
gosh,
Elliott
yeah,
Crossing.
yeah. Look at that.
And I'm telling you, we have
Even
wonderful
architecture like that.
There's nothing like it in Detroit.
Osborne High School.
Osborne High School.
Yeah. The Top Hat. Oh my
Top
God.
Hat Burgers.
Yeah.
That's before
The sliders
White
from White Castle.
Yeah, that's right.
Tiger Stadium
There's those
outside. Yeah.
two.
Oh, there you go. That's probably me in there. I'm probably forcing him to get more chocolate out of there.
How many kids had a good humor truck down? This is neighborhoods in Detroit. The Grandy
The
Ballroom.
Grandy Ballroom, yeah, the MC5.
Anybody go see the MC5 at the Grandy Ballroom, folks? Now this is where we were at
Arlen's.
the Packard plant, and when
That was Imperial City.
they opened Arlen's inside the Packard plant. It closed off of.
And then they opened another one out from just on the Detroit Dearborn border. There was Imperial City,
remember
where they used to
that.
build Imperials.
I remember that. Now the Ramona Theater for you East Siders as well. It's all East Side stuff. The Ramona Theater is where we used to go. Oh my gosh, look at the
The
Detroit
Lions, when they
Lions.
used to play outside.
At Tiger Stadium.
Tigers in, tear up the field. Yeah.
CKLW, one of the probably the greatest radio stations around. It could be heard all the way down south. No, is this the Ford Auditorium?
Oh, that's the outside of the
My
City County
wife
building.
Daily Drive-In.
Oh yeah,
I know
those
my wife
still
Jenny
around.
graduated from. She had a ceremony at the Ford Auditorium. Bel Air Drive-In up on 8 Mile. The Bel Air.
Oh, look at those movies, Bonnie and Clyde.
That's right. Remember the good old days? Morgus on cable access.
The East Town,
East
yeah.
Town Theater. Remember
Joe
those?
Walsh. Jeez.
We all remember all this stuff. This is great stuff. Metropolitan Beach on Metro Beach is what, 16 Mile up there on Jefferson. The Little Cafe. I don't know if you remember that.
That's pretty
place.
big to me. Federals.
Federal's no longer on
Yeah.
7 Mile and Gratiot. That's long since gone. But those we used to
See,
go have
people
shop.
walking.
People walking in Detroit. Yeah, St.
St.
Anthony
Anthony.
High School, where I went to school. That's where I graduated from St.
Really?
Anthony. Yep.
Oh.
Down on the Boulevard in
Do they
Gratiot.
admit it or they just hide in shame?
Boblo, did you ever go to Boblo?
Bill Kennedy at the movies.
Bill-
Bill Kennedy, the voice On the original Superman TV show. He was the one who did the voiceover.
Now, we still have the Fox Theater, one of the
Yep.
gems of Detroit.
Thank you, the Elders family, for
Right, for
resurrecting
restoring
that.
That was really phenomenal. But,
Motown.
Motown is a big attraction now. We haven't made into a museum. The Red Top Coney Island? Wow.
Wow. Al Kaline.
Turned 80 years old.
Or I used to look at it and his name and say Alkaline.
How many people went to Kresge's?
Shot the DDD, the downtown Detroit days. Remember that? The
GM
GM
when it
building.
was
I
over-
used to work right across the street
When it
from
was
that.
over by the hospital.
On Grand Boulevard.
Yeah.
MC5.
The Amboy Dukes played at the Sweetwater?
Bob Seger system. Oh,
Bob
goodness.
Seger, goodness gracious.
Hudson's again. Nice big concert going on there.
Yeah, I think that, remember they started opening up the malls like
Judging
this
from the
now.
way the bass player standing there, it's Bob Seger again.
The close of the 70s. Oh my gosh. That just reminds me so much of being sitting on the steps downtown. We used to be able to hang out downtown. Belle Isle, our zoo had polar bears.
We still do.
You see? And I thought Al Gore said they're all going to leave.
No, Al Gore should be.
Wayne State, Old Main. Great school.
Never been
My
there.
alma mater.
Two guys are very happy.
That's Bill Freehand and Mickey Lolich.
The
Mark
Bird.
the Bird Fidrich.
Yep.
I mean, we had great. Detroit still is a great, not only an automotive town, but it's a
Trammell
great
and
sports
Parrish.
town. Yeah, and Kirk Gibson, great sports town. What a wonderful city it is to live in Detroit. And when the Ren Center was built, remember we had the, oh no, not Bozo. Did you know that Al Servey, as the original Bozo in Detroit, was the past president of the Lincoln Mercury Owners Association?
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
I did radio with him.
Ford Mercury Stores. Club is on the
Vernors.
west side. Vernors Ginger Ale.
I love introducing people to Vernors because they have never tasted ginger ale until they've had Vernors.
You can't
And it makes
imagine.
them cough. It's really hilarious.
Notre Dame versus St. Ambrose in the Soup Bowl game.
The Soup Bowl.
Notre Dame and St. Ambrose.
WXYZ, personality play.
Oh gosh, yeah. Remember the Pillow Talk on WXYZ?
Oh, yeah.
Milroy's Fish and Chips, you East Siders.
Hey, look, they had a talking fish. He can cook. The Olympia.
I got to see Elvis when I dated Jenny. We got to see Elvis at the Olympia.
Really?
Motor City Speedway. Now that's going back.
8 Mile and Shaner. That's
8
a
Mile and Shaner.
long
Look at the
time.
speedway there. 8 Mile and Shaner.
Wow.
No one really knew that existed. Sir Graves
Sir
Gas.
Graves Gas.
Which is
Winkleman's.
Winkleman's.
Oh my God. The Fisher Theater. I worked in that building.
How many people shopped at the Wink? Now, didn't we have streetcars before we ripped them all out and put buses in?
Yes, we did.
Now we're going back to Belle Isle Bridge, the old one, before the
Wow.
MacArthur Bridge. Remember that?
Wow.
That was what's a cool place? What street?
The happiest food. Blazos.
Blazos.
Oh my God, Blazos. Good
Blazos,
food.
right up here on Mac.
Yeah.
We had Blazos, Flamingo Hall, and somewhere on Gratiot, another great hall. The Gratiot Drive-In.
Yellow
Unbelievable.
Sky.
Harper Theater, which when you go by 94, you'll still see it. It became Harpo's. Oh, there we go. It became Harpo's. As you know, those were great places.
Alvin's.
Oh,
Yep.
Alvin's.
The book
How
Cadillac.
they've restored the book Cadillac. Detroit, really, when you think of our skyline.
Back when Cobo Hall was new. The
Woolworths.
Woolworths. Yep. Next to Birch Shoes, which is the sign is still there.
And look at the cars. They're 58 Ford, a 59 Chevy.
Yeah.
This is the.
That was
this-
back when Detroit
this
was
is really-
the fourth largest
that
city
really
in the country.
That was a great video. I hope you enjoyed that. And that, Chris, when we talk about our heritage, we did have a great city, and we are proud of being from Detroit. Detroit grew up not only as the Motor City. The reason why all those wonderful memories came back is because the middle class was born here.
Oh, absolutely. It was the car industry that really established the middle class with a $5 day.
Yep.
It was well before unions and all of that, because Henry Ford quite honestly saw that if you built the car but you couldn't afford to buy it, what good was that?
Right.
So you increased their wages and you made them prosperous, and we established a middle class that was the largest in the world. That's unfortunately right now under attack. But this was the fourth largest city in the country and the second richest city in the country up until the middle 60s.
Right. So people, you just think of Detroit as being this black place. There was this dark, nasty, ugly town. Detroit has a rich heritage. It's on the swing back right now after emerging from bankruptcy. A lot of good things are again happening here.
The
This is-
Shinola Watch Company?
This city has a great resiliency, and so when you think about the auto industry, the gritty, hard-working, blue-collar people that put the world on wheel and put America economy to work, this is why we're proud of Detroit. We hope you enjoyed that little trip backwards, but you know, we're going to enjoy something else. Because now it's time to enjoy the pick of the week.
Okay,
Yeah,
and?
this is where you send me a crazy picture, and if I think it's crazy enough or fun enough, I'll put it on the air. This time, you know, speaking of Detroit, someone spotted a mural painted on the side of a building. So we're going to show you this pic. Now this picture, folks, I don't know where this building is located. They did not give me that in the email, but it says on the side of this building with the Detroit guy standing up there, "Smile, your dad's from Detroit." Smile, your dad's from Detroit. My dad's from Detroit. Your dads are all of our dads were
My
born.
dad was from Hawaii, sorry.
Well, really?
Yeah, he was born in Hawaii.
Wow. Did he get a lay? So anyway.
No, no, he was a native. He
Oh,
was,
okay,
He was,
wow.
he was a haole, you know.
Oh, ukulele. Yeah. What is that?
Okay.
Okay.
You
So
mean
no-
the ukulele?
No, I had that too. So now it's time to talk about pride in my ride. This is another great part of the show, Chris.
This is why you never passed spelling when you were a kid, John.
That's true. Spelling's difficult. And the nuns at St. Anthony would just appreciate it if you learn how to spell. Otherwise,
They would hate Twitter, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, you'd get the 3-foot wooden ruler.
The
Yeah,
yard of
yardstick.
pain, yeah.
This picture was sent to us here. This is a 1979 Ford Bronco sent to me by Michael Davis of Lima, Ohio.
So 79, it's pre-OJ.
Yeah, no, see, no, but no, here, I first met Michael at a car show down in Ohio, and he had a real early Bronco he just restored. He said the Broncos are coming back, pre-OJ.
Yeah.
They're really cool cars. This thing with a 302 in it, and he picked up the 79 recently, wanted to show it to me. He watches Cars in Context TV on the YouTube channel down there in Ohio. Michael, thank you for sending that in. If you have a picture you'd like shown on Pride of My Ride, send it to me, Clor at carsincontext.com, and we'll be sure to put it on the air, but you know there's more.
Yes.
This is the time when we ask WMTV's Lauren Parrot, Lauren, please rummage through the Cars in Context mailbag. Find us something, please. Can you find us something?
I found you a couple things.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank God
Lauren, if it
we-
weren't for you, we could have no viewer mail.
We're still employed for a week.
Thank God for Lauren for this job. Listen, I want you to take the first one because there's always the tricky one first.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome, bud.
Okay, this one comes to us from Bill S. of Harper Woods, who watches on AT&T UVerse Channel 99.
Okay.
Dear Chris, I saw your show when you talked about how highways in the U.S. are not built to the durability standards that Germany uses for the Autobahn.
Yeah, we did a piece on
Yep.
it. Yep.
Would it be cheaper for America to invest in the more expensive road technology, or is it less costly to simply replace the pavement more often? Neither! You know why it's done this way there, Bill? It's very simple.
I didn't expect that
The
answer.
taxpayer looks at it and goes, I'm not paying that much money for the roads.
Yeah.
And the guy who's sitting there in office and voting for it says, I'm not going to spend all that money on the roads. I'm going to buy votes somewhere else. So I'll do this, and I'll tell them I save money, and I'll go buy votes
But
elsewhere.
Chris, that's wrong.
And then 15 years down the road,
We
you sit
fix-
there, and actually not even that. Some of the roads are atrocious and have been
Yeah.
falling apart in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's going to stop.
And that doesn't even count the money lost from not being able to use the road.
The money that's lost
That's
from all the things that go wrong with your car, from wasted time, all that sort of stuff. It's expensive.
I'm glad you saw that show, Bill, and now you know the difference between the technologies, and there is a way we can build them
So
better.
in the old Purolator commercial, they used to say, you can pay me now or you can pay me
That's
later.
right, that's what it is.
That's what
Well,
it's
I've
like.
got one, and I hope it doesn't have anything to do with money. This one comes to us from Alan R. of Grosse Pointe Woods, who watches Cars in Context on Comcast, cable channel 915 HD. It says, Dear John, I saw your show where you talked about lighting on the Detroit freeways. We did a whole show about Detroit freeway fails. And I've noticed that it's it's still dark on sections of I-94 and I-96. Is the problem still with scrappers stealing wire? Well, Alan, you know, that was the problem that they said, like, what, a year ago. But eventually, can you buy more wire? Somebody, can you just fix it, please? Now, I don't know if you noticed, if you're going downtown from the east side, they're sticking like wood light poles in there and stringing them up and just trying to do something to put the lights on. Next thing you know, they'll be going to Harbor Freight Tools and getting those free flashlights and just hanging them off the freeway bridges.
I said we take the unemployed, we just have them stand there like the guy in the old Fist
Yeah,
tire
yeah.
commercial.
Instead of you standing there, we'll work for money, just hold a light up so we can see where we're going.
Exactly. Do something
Alan, that's a
useful.
great question. The highway, MDOT has really dropped the ball on lighting on Detroit's
But
freeways.
at least one good thing, the legislature has passed a law that says that if you are you get scrap from one of these scrappers,
Yeah?
that you're going to be prosecuted for this.
I hope so.
And well, you should be, because God knows if some poor homeless toothless guy comes in and he's got 2 miles of really primo copper wire, he didn't make it himself. He didn't get it legally.
didn't
He
find it
probably-
on the sidewalk.
He's probably from Reform U.
Well, Chris, that's a great university. Chris, thanks for coming along. Folks, we're out of time. If you have a question you'd like to answer on the air, send it to me, Clor at carsincontext.com. Again, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed our look back. And if you remember, our whole motto here is knowledge is power. I'm your
And
host,
money
John
is power.
Clor, and thanks for watching. Money's power, too.